Hi friends, in this video we are going to cover AZ305 designing Microsoft Azure infrastructure solution. This Azure solution architect exam, it will cover compute, network, storage, monitoring and security. So who can write the exam? Developers can write this exam. For admins, for us IT admin, server admin, they can write this exam. Security engineers can write this exam and data engineers can write this exam. If you complete this AZ305 certificate, it will be useful for developers, IT admins or server admins, cloud engineers, security engineers, data engineers. Recently, Microsoft has updated the AZ305 syllabus. So it was updated in last October 2024, almost 1 year back. In this class, we are going to cover the what are the modules in Azure Solution Architect Expert exam. What you are going to study? What are the topics covered in this exam? So, if you study this certificate, if you completed the certification, if you register the exam in online and pass the exam, you will receive the certificate as a Cloud Solution Architect Expert. Here, okay, Microsoft Certified Azure Solution Architect Expert. So this is the certificate. This is the name of the certificate you will receive once you complete the certificate. Let us dive into modules in this AZ305 certificate. There are four modules in this certificate. The first module is Identity Governance and Monitoring Solution. It is Identity Infrastructure or Entra ID Infrastructure. The second module is Data Storage Solution. We call it as a data architecture. The first module we can call it a identity architecture. Second module is data architecture. The third module is disaster recovery, high availability architecture. The fourth is cloud infrastructure architecture. In the identity architecture, it will cover logging and monitoring, authentication and authorization solutions, design the governance part. In logging and monitoring, in the first module, we have to design the logging solution in Azure cloud infrastructures. For example, if you are working on a corporate and managing a Azure cloud infrastructure, there will be lot of cloud resources like apps, database, DBs, web apps, containers. So lot of resources will be deployed and running in the Azure cloud. We need to enable the logging. We need to enable the activity logs. We need to enable the performance logs for all these resources. So we can monitor the health of the resources because so we can monitor the performance of the resources. So we have to design and implement a logging solution for all the cloud resources running in Azure cloud. So we have to enable the logging for each and every cloud resource, and we have to ingest the logs, store those logs into a log analytic workspace or a blob storage, any storage account. So we have to design and implement the logging solution for all the cloud resources. So what is the purpose of logging? With the help of logging, we can easily identify the any suspicious activity, like if if your user account is compromised, if the user account is at the owner access and also subscription, the cyber criminals can gain the access in your ASU subscription. They can deploy thousands of resources by using automation tools. So at the end of the month, you will receive millions of dollars invoice. So it is a huge security risk. So we have to monitor all the logs. We have to enable the logging for all the resources, all the fraud resources, and store the logs in a centralized log analytic workspace. So we can define a log analytic space for health logs. So we can create multiple log analytic workspace. We can use one analytic log analytic workspace for a storing activity logs, performance logs, and we can create a separate log analytic workspace for storing the security logs. So security logs we can use by SecOps teams, SOC teams, cyber security teams. The activity logs and performance logs stored in a separate log analytic workspace. It can be used by a operation team. So we have to implement a good logging solution for the cloud infrastructures. And we have to implement a solution for routing the logs. How to route the logs from VMs, apps, databases into a log analytic workspace. If you look at the Azure resources, all the Azure resources have monitoring tab, settings tab. If you go to the monitoring, there you will find diagnostic settings. So you have to enable the diagnostic settings and configure it, through which we can redirect all the logs into either to the log analytic workspace or to the storage account. And we have to recommend a monitoring solution. We have to configure the monitoring in Azure Monitor. So the first module in the first chapter covers the logging and monitor. As a Azure solution architect, we should efficiently configure the logging and monitoring. The second chapter is design, authentication and the authorization solution. This is IAM, Identity Access Management, Enter ID or identity provider related. Recommend the authentication solution. We have to design the identity infrastructures, whether it is a cloud native solution like Enter ID. All our user account are created, managed and maintained in the cloud only. Enter ID or Okta or some other third party identity providers, or if it is a hybrid environment where we have on-premises as well as cloud, both are synced, or we have the on-premises environment only. So we have to identify the architecture and then design the solution based on the requirement. So we have to configure and implement the identity management solution. Here we have to choose which one is we are going to use. Whether we are going to use the enter ID, or any third party identity providers like Ping Identity or Okta, like that. Beyond Trust or Just Scalar. So we have recommended a solution for authorizing access to the Azure resources. How we are implementing the permission access for the project people, whether we are using a RBAC roles or we are using a custom roles. So we have to define how we are going to provide access to the project people. Whether we need to provide access to the subscription level or resource group level or resource level, or whether we are going to provide access to the individual users or we are going to provide access to the groups, creating groups, adding the user to the groups and providing access to the group. So we have to recommend a solution for authorizing access to cloud resources and also for on-premises resources. If it is a hybrid environment, our on-premise area and cloud area enter ID will be synced. So whatever the user account you created in the on-prem AD, it will be automatically recreated or created in the enter ID. If you are making a file share, some of the files are in the cloud and some of the files are in the file server in the on-prem environment. How we are going to sync the permission? We have to define it and we have to provide a solution for managing the secret certificate and keys. We have to design and implement the how to manage secrets, certificate and keys. Next is design governance. The governance part, we have recommended a structure for managing management groups, subscription, resource group, and a strategy for resource tagging. In governance, we have to define this management part. Here we recommend for the landing zone architecture. So we can implement a landing zone architecture, which is a logical concept to create a well-defined Azure cloud infrastructures. For example, if you have almost 200 Azure subscription and running almost 10 project, 10 client, for each client you are managing 20 Azure subscription. So 10 clients, each client, for each client you have 20 Azure subscription, that means 200 subscription. How will you manage? So we can implement the management groups, root management groups, child management groups. So we can put the all the subscription which is used in a particular project under a management groups. And how to structure the resource group and resource tagging. We can use Azure policies, Azure tags, Azure logs, to manage the cloud resources. And we have to implement a solution for compliance. For large corporates, they have compliance standard. They need to follow a compliance standard like ISO 27000, SOC 2, NIST, CIS. There is a lot of compliance standard. So large, if you working a large scale project, you need to implement the compliance standard in the cloud infrastructure because we have a cloud auditing, and we have to find a solution for the identity governance. How do you how do you manage, protect your identities? Identity governance means entity management, privilege entity management, identity governance and access management. So we have to provide a solution, we have to design a solution for the identity governance. So this is for the identity architecture, first part, first module. Second module completely deal with data architecture, data storage solution. In data architecture, in the second module, we have to design a data storage solution for relational databases. Yes, we got several type of databases: SQL database, Oracle database, Cosmos DB, NoSQL. There is different type of databases in clouds. So we have to design a solution for storing the data in databases and blob storage. So we have recommended a database service and compute database data service tier and compute tier. And cloud, all the resources, each and every resources consumes whatever your resource you deployed, it is billable. At the end of the day, it will be billed, it will be invoiced, it will automatically deduct the billing amount from your credit card. So we have to choose the right tier for databases and computes. So we can optimize the cost. And then we have and then we have to recommend a solution for database scalability. Recently, I worked on a project. We deployed Cosmos DB. The deployment model is provision the throughput. That means everything will be provisioned. So we got the heavy high bill, and then later we changed it into serverless mode. So whenever the it is consuming more resources, it will be charged. If it is ideal or consuming less resources, it will be charge will be less. So we can recommend a solution for database scalability. We have auto scale option in databases, SQL databases, Cosmos DBs, and we have to recommend a solution for data protection. How we are going to protect the data? By default, Microsoft implemented encryption at the rest. Whatever the data we are storing in the Azure cloud will be automatically encrypted and stored. Apart from that one, we can implement a additional layer of data protection. And then design the storage solution for the semi-structured and unstructured data. The first chapter covers the SQL databases, Azure SQL databases. The second chapter covers the Cosmos DB, NoSQL, this unstructured and semi-structured data solutions. So as a solution architect, as a Azure solution architect, you need to design the implement the solution for both structured and semi-structured and unstructured data sources, data solutions. Then data integration. The third module is business continuity and solution. In the third module, we have to define the backup and disaster recovery. We have to recommend a recovery solution for the Azure and hybrid workload that meet recovery object. We have to recommend a backup and recovery solution for the compute. We have to recommend a backup and recovery solution for the databases. We have different type of resources running in Azure cloud. So we need to provide a backup and recovery solution for compute databases and unstructured data like Cosmos DB, NoSQL. And we have to design for the high availability. So we recommend we have to plan and design a high availability solution for compute for the relational data and semi-structured and unstructured data. So the third module focus on the disaster recovery, business continuity and high availability. The last module and the fourth module is designing infrastructures, cloud infrastructure, Azure cloud infrastructures. So we have to design the complete solution. So we have to design the how to design, configure, implement the complete solution like virtual machine solutions, container based solutions, serverless based solution, and solution for batch processing. We need to provide a solution for all these compute services, and we have to provide designing architecture solution for application architecture, messaging architecture, event driven architecture, solution for API integration, caching solution, Redis, application configuration management solution, automated deployment solution for the application. See, we have designed and implement the application architecture in cloud, Azure cloud. Migration. So we have to design the migration, evaluate the migration solution that are leveraged the Microsoft Cloud Adaptation Framework. So Microsoft Cloud Adaptation Framework is the benchmark for designing a Azure cloud infrastructures. So we have to evaluate the on-prem servers, data, application for migration. We have to recommend a solution for migrating workload to infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. Recommend a solution for migrating databases. Recommend a solution for migrating unstructured data. And finally, the last chapter is designing network solution. So we have to recommend a connectivity solution for the connecting on-prem service with the internet, connecting Azure resources to the internet, how we are exposing the cloud resources to internet. If you want to secure all the cloud resources, we can implement service endpoints, private DNS zones to avoid the exposure to the internet. So we have to recommend a connectivity solution for the Azure resource to the on-premises network. We can implement express route, site using VPN. So we have to recommend a solution how to connect the on-premises and the Azure cloud. And we have to recommend a solution for optimize the network performance. And then recommend a solution to optimize the network security. Recommend a load balancing routing solution. In this video, we have covered the what are the modules and the chapter in the modules in the AZ 305 Azure Solution Architect Expert exam. Thank you. We will meet in next video.